Hello, can anyone hear me? Perfect, you guys can. Great, I think
Can you hear me now?
problems. Yes, now we can.
Ah, good. I always have to jump off stage and jump back on. Oh my goodness. Hello, guys. Hey, everyone. Hey, Duff, Degent, Umu, B1TC, Acidic, Smiley, Kites, and of course, Mr. AJ. Hello, how are you doing today? I guess AJ doesn't want to speak to me today.
I can speak to you if you like.
Okay, that's fine.
Hey,
Oh, there
hey,
you go.
David. Hey, brother. Oh my gosh, guys, I am so sorry. I had technical difficulties. I was like, wait a minute, I can see them talking, but I can't hear anything. So my apologies. You know I love you, David. Yes, brother. I'm happy to be
Oh,
here.
good.
And hello, my friend.
I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. Recently, I also have so many issues with the stage channels. Like I'm jumping up, speaking for a couple minutes, and yeah, then I have to leave because I realize, oh, no one can hear me. Especially awkward if we have a guest on and they're sitting in silence for a couple of minutes.
For sure, man. Totally.
Good to see you guys in the audience. Already so many here with us. I see the cafe guy. He already has a couple of questions lined up today for Sparkswap. In general, I see a couple of our beneficiaries, PP beneficiaries, or our Pillars portfolio beneficiaries from last month. They already got some gonna get some exposure to Sparkswap, of course, because as you know, AJ with the mothership EMP Spark Swap are partners of the Pillars portfolio, and that's already been going great. And yeah, so to all the beneficiaries, it's also your chance to ask away whatever you want to know about Sparkswap. And yeah, I mean, if Mad Hatter is ready and good to go,
I'm good to go.
Sorry?
I am good to go.
Awesome. Perfect. Alrighty, let's see. Gotta get my script up as per usual. Thank you all for coming today. Welcome to the Pillars. We are a community-led space aimed at supporting protocols and educating our investors for intelligent, meaningful conversation. Here we ask the tough questions you all want answered. Now, let me introduce to you one of my favorite guests here on the Pillars stage. It's Mr. Brockman, AJ Brockman from EMP, Sparkswap, L1DEX, just the mothership, as he likes to call it, and as also I like to call it. Today, he is here to talk about Sparkswap and the recent changes, especially in terms of the bridge. So if you guys want to be updated on exactly what Sparkswap is, go check out the CE archive to listen to the first CE that we had with AJ. But I believe Mad Hatter is also going to give a quick intro to it, or the guys are going to quickly give a quick little intro. Yeah, and I also want to point out, as I already said before my intro, AJ is AJ LA and the whole EMP ecosystem are our second partner of the Pillars portfolio. To the people in the audience that don't know what the Pillars portfolio is, the Pillars portfolio is our reward model for our so-called Web3 model, where you can earn PXP, it's what we call, and can so for engaging, for messaging, and at some point, if you reach enough PXP, you're gonna get exposure to the Pillars portfolio. AJ has contributed 10,000 Spark and 20,000 EMP to the Pillars portfolio, and our first partner, Kirk, has contributed 20,000, Kirk. So yeah, and if you engage, you can check it out to everyone. If you send a message in community questions and then hop over to PP commands, you can see how your level, how much you already gained. Interestingly, this month just has started yesterday, I believe. So the PP beneficiary status, that's how we like to call it, the Pillars portfolio beneficiary status, is up for grabs. It's enough time. But anyways, enough rambling from me. I want to pass it on to the boys, but also want to point out that we have a $50 giveaway at some point during the CEE. And yeah, please use this opportunity to ask every question that is niggling you and that you have on your mind. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, David, for that intro. Thank you. AJ, how are you, sir?
Mad Hatter, I am wonderful, brother. Thank you for asking. And David, thank you, brother. Sad to see you go already, but I know you'll be here in the audience. So yeah, happy to be here, guys.
Always good to have you in, and I'm excited to hear about the additions that you've added to Sparkswap. I want to start by kind of saying, well, telling the audience, I was listening to a really good Spaces actually with AJ surrounding, but all of the partners that he surrounds himself with. And the takeaway from not just the people that were speaking about working with AJ Sparkswap and what it is that they have done and are going to do to contribute to it, but also from the people that are asking the questions and audience members, is that you're always surrounding yourself by incredibly smart people who not only are driven and can build wonderful things, but crucially that you trust. And that trust goes both ways, of course. They trust you, you trust them. And the one thing that everybody listening should always take into consideration is, what is the track record? What is the track record of any particular project that you might be looking at? And your track record right now is you've been here well over a year in the space. You guys have created one of the biggest projects out there, holds a ton of BNB. You're now building out into other ecosystems that is all going to, as David rightly said, come all together into the mothership. No downtime, zero exploits. And I think that's the most impressive part, because it's not always been plain sailing. It's not always been easy. Of course, with the downturn in the market and some of the things that have happened, the Black Swan events no one could foresee, everybody has suffered. And, some of your ecosystems are no stranger to that suffering, but you're still here. You're still going. They're still continuing to pay out. And not only that, you're still moving towards a positive outcome for the future and when the bull run really hits. So yes, sorry, I didn't really end that with a question or a thought. But yeah, I wanted to just preface it with that, because for me, it's very impressive.
Thank you, Mad Hatter. No, bro. And again, man, that is very kind words of you. And again, everything you said is absolutely the ethos of what we're doing. And yeah, the Twitter space yesterday, again, was very humbling, honestly. We invited a lot of our core partners on, and obviously, maybe I paid them to say what they said about me, but it was really, really humbling. And I agree, man. I mean, again, we in this digital world, we do everything we can to vet people, and sometimes, we get burned. I mean, there has been over 2 years, there's been many partnerships that haven't worked out, but regardless, we do everything we can to continue surrounding ourselves with the people that are here for the long run, that are extremely smart, that are actually building real DeFi, and product market fit products, not just meme tokens or pump and dumps. And again, the whole idea, which David mentioned, at the top of the show, this mothership, and that terminology extends even outside of EMP, where or Spark or L1TX, where we're really creating a conglomerate of really amazing protocols that by working together, we make each individual project even that much stronger as well. So that's really what I'm excited about. Especially at the bottom of a bear. I mean, we've seen the markets really start to wake up
Right.
You know, I don't know if we're out of the woods quite yet, but we're definitely in the right direction. And you know, if we can continue the momentum that we have right now into 2024, 2025, I
Mm.
mean, the sky is the limit, brother. It's exciting. Yeah.
It is, and I think you guys are going to do extremely well. Before we get into Sparkswap, the bridge, what exciting additions you guys have added in terms of the market, because you're always very good at jumping in both to the Telegram, the Discords, just to say to people, keep your eye on the prize, make sure you're playing your ecosystems in the way that they were intended to be played, and in the long run, when things do get better, you're going to really be able to kind of reap those rewards, and you're going to see the fruits of your labor. In terms of the market, where do you personally think it's headed? I know you're not going to want to make any particular predictions, but do you think we see another correction? Is it going to be just a kind of like a steady grind up with those peaks and troughs that come in as we go?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, again, I don't consider myself a TA expert. I mean, I've made uh, my multi-million dollar portfolio in crypto, even way before I started my own project. And the way
Hmm.
that I built my wealth in crypto was literally just investing in DCA in projects over time, so dollar cost averaging, and really being a true believer in the projects that I was involved in. And when you have that mindset, you're not looking at the chart, you're not panicking, you're not over invested. If it does all go to zero, that you are still okay. And overall, I mean, this will be my third cycle now, and I've seen it play out the exact same way every time. And obviously, I'm the first to admit as well, during the last bull run, I definitely should have taken more profits than I did. Again, we get caught up in the euphoria. Everybody is saying, they're going to buy a Lambo, they're going to buy a house, all the financial freedom that we all want through crypto. But again, it's important to keep your eye on the prize. And,
Mm.
and and really think long term. And as far as the markets overall, I mean, again, if I had to guess, I think that we're going to see one more pretty substantial dump. Again, I don't think we're going to hit 20,000 or less. I think
Right.
we may see another correction, to the 25, 30K range. And then I think after that dump, it will be, pouring gasoline on the fire. And the only variable to that, which is very unique to this potential bull run, is the ETF approval. So we've
Right.
never experienced that in crypto, and again, that is a catalyst that we are not even prepared for. I think, and so once the ETF is finally approved, and there's literally trillions or billions of dollars pouring in, we could see exponential growth beyond anything we've ever experienced. So that's, I'd say, the only variable. But again, I think this time next year, no matter what, we're pushing new all-time highs. And if you're excited, I know a lot of you are in all the different DeFi chats and all the crypto Twitter. If you think people are excited right now, just with the movement we've seen over the last few months, 20% gains. Just wait until we hit new all-time highs. The euphoria in the crypto space is absolutely unheard of, and
Right.
I've been through it twice now. So all I can say is hold on to your butt for sure.
Right. Yes. Hold on, indeed, and I think you're absolutely right. I imagine there is a correction coming at some point. But yeah, like you say, the euphoria when it really finally takes off is something like people who are new to this space have really never experienced and seen. What I think is really great about Sparkswap is how you've positioned yourself now as you're starting to release things slowly towards the tail end of this year, and you're adding more and more to your ecosystem, and you're doing it on a chain that is relatively untouched, which means it's ripe for the picking, and you guys are trying to get yourselves to compete, and you always say not in a bad way, it's not a disparaging way. Competition is healthy, I think. So you're wanting to kind of push the boundaries of where you can be in terms of pulse chain. Tell us a bit about that. This is obviously by design. I'm sure some of it is a happy coincidence in how it came about after you were building out. But tell us a little bit about how you've started to slow release things like adding to the bridge to really position yourselves in that strong place.
Yeah, man, Hatter, I love this question, brother. Again, no shortage of amazing questions whenever we do a CEE with you. And it's so funny. We literally were discussing this in our developer chat before the call today with you guys. And I say this again as humbly as I can, but it really feels like we're beginning to build out Pulse Chain, and that is such a really awesome feeling. Especially garnering the respect and attention of a lot of the other legitimate DeFi protocols on Pulse. They see what we're doing. They see what we're building. They had no idea about our track record with EMP, but they're slowly learning and gaining that respect. And I think that is so important in terms of building a project. Is you have to show by example. You can't just be talk. And that is one thing. I mean, obviously, we pride ourselves on the communication with our community, but in
Right.
terms of development, we really try not to overpromise and underdeliver, and instead just focus on building. And we've done that with the bridge. So yeah, the bridge is the newest addition. Again, and even Sparkswap as a whole, just to touch on it really briefly, you can listen to one of the older AMAs with you guys, or CEEs, about why we went to Pulse. But the idea is that we're building, an actual ecosystem that ends up feeding our other projects. And rather than doing another, Tomb Fork or inflationary type DeFi model, we wanted to build something with real utility. So the idea was always that Sparkswap would be a DEX. But we started slow. So we started as just a traditional AMM, or automated market maker, or yield farm, where we're using Pulse X, which is the native exchange on Pulse, to do all the transactions. But that was just a way to get established, to start building a community, showing people that we had a very revolutionary model in the Sparkler, which, again, just really quickly, that's another revolutionary thing that we built, is that we have direct use case for the reward token, where you can stake that into Sparkler and earn a vast percentage of the actual real yield from the protocol. So rather than the fees going to developers, it's going to all of you that are in Sparkler. And so that alone was a real game changer. I mean, even arguably, it's a better economic model than even Pulse X,
Right.
the native DEX. And so it was always our plan to migrate all of our LP onto our own DEX. So now Sparkswap is its own DEX. We still have a few pairs that are on Pulse X, but hopefully within the next few weeks, all of those pairs will be moved over as well. And then we will literally be the number 2 DEX on Pulse Chain. And that is so bullish for, again, the price of Spark, product market fit, the whole 9 yards, and really building out other options on Pulse. And so, all right, so sorry, I know that was a little long-winded, but
No, don't
the
worry.
bridge, yeah, so the bridge is really, the next step. And so, we launched the bridge about a month ago, but the token that we were bridging was EMP. And again, we did that on purpose because it was a way for us to prove that that the bridge was actually working, that it was a proof of concept, basically. And it also allowed EMP holders to earn by bridging their tokens over to Pulse, and getting even a bit of a higher APR than what they can earn on BNB in the farms on EMP. So that was, again, a calculated move. But over the last few days, we've actually been able to implement a stable token option as well. So now that we knew the bridge was bulletproof and working flawlessly, we now are building liquidity for DAI SDAI. Again, DAI is the stable token for BNB. SDAI is the synthetic version or Spark version on Pulse, and we have to do that because we don't have admin keys to DAI itself on Pulse, but it's fully collateralized, backed one-to-one with actual DAI, and once you bridge back to BNB, you get actual DAI from the bridge contract. So, and on top of that, we are also now interoperable with Arbitrum. So we've essentially, I don't want to use the word merger, but we've gotten really close to the Dex Finance team, and they're helping us build again this massive infrastructure. And so with that, we are now accepting US Dex, which is their version of the collateralized stable token, and we're able to actually bridge that from Arbitrum. So now, not only are we the fastest and cheapest bridge, but we're the only hard-coded bridge from BNB to Pulse to Arbitrum out there. So it's been a really amazing few weeks.
Yeah, that's huge for you guys, and I know speed is something that people are always speed and fees, especially with Arbitrum. Anything Ethereum based is always going to be expensive and particularly slow. You guys are performing extremely well in comparison, right?
Yeah, brother. So again, the actual the native bridge to Pulse, which everybody has been using until we came along, is only Ethereum to Pulse. And yes, they have stable options. You can do ETH Pulse, you can do USDT, US DAI, and the problem is that number one, it takes forever. The average bridge is about an hour. So when you're trying to
That's
ape
crazy.
a new yeah, bro. When you're trying to ape a new meme coin or trying to get into a yield farm that just launched, timing is money. Time is money. So the faster you can get funds over, the better. And with, like you said, Matt, how you hit it on the head. Even with the market, getting bullish again, yeah, that's amazing in terms of token price, but it's not amazing in terms of gas fees. And
Right.
Ethereum, I mean, it was averaging $50 to $100 to initiate the bridge. And if you're bridging, say, $1,000 or even less, that's like an incredible price impact,
Yes,
upwards
it is.
of 10%. So that is why, again, we have an incredible product market fit with our bridge, and you only have to pay the either Arbitrum, BNB, or Pulse gas fees, which in most cases are less than 50 cents, if not lower, and you get it in a matter of seconds. So our bridge, you're able to bridge with our bridge. Average time is under 1 minute. It's been about 45 seconds. So again, it's just so bullish. And our bridge fee is slightly higher. Again, the base bridge fee for the PLS or for the ETH to PLS bridge is 0.3%. Ours is 0.5%. But again, it's you're still paying way less overall using our bridge, and it's still much more lucrative to
Right.
use our product. Yeah.
As you guys build out, one of the things that a lot of people are asking is how do we get Pulse? We're going to need to use Pulse. It can be difficult to get, or some people don't want to have to go onto the centralized exchanges. There can be confusion around that. Are you guys working towards making that transition also something that's going to be easy long term, so that perhaps they don't even need to look at going onto a centralized exchange to ensure that they're fully able to facilitate everything that they want to do from chain to chain?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'll answer that in two ways, or actually maybe even three ways. But the first point of that is for sure. I mean, we want to have options that allow you to skip centralized entities in every way possible. I mean, we're true believers in DeFi and getting away from any sort of centralized entities. So the short answer for that is absolutely. The way that we're going to accomplish that is the other part of my answer. So number one, if you're new to Pulse Chain, obviously we're not able to bridge Pulse itself. I'll use the caveat yet. So hopefully that might be something that we can do in the future. But the hard part is getting Pulse on Pulse to actually transact. So there are a lot of different faucet options, even in our community. We have a lot of people that will send you, a few cents of Pulse just to be able to do the initial transaction. But eventually, we're hoping to upgrade the bridge to use a portion of the bridge fees to reward you in actual Pulse as well, so that again, if you're brand new to Pulse Chain, then you can actually transact there for the first time. So so that is definitely in the works. And then number two is just continuing to build out other options for people bridging in, and that's what really comes together with L1 Dex. So when we build L1 Dex, or when L1 Dex is finished, it's already built. We're just waiting on some key infrastructure from L1X to be able to launch. But once that is live, then the ultimate goal is that we replace the bridge on Sparkswap with our L1 Dex bridge. And now we're interoperable with literally every chain that L1X is compatible with. So that is the next year, that's the goal eventually. But for now, we just have to build a bit at a time for sure.
Now, I heard you say something during your own internal AMA in which you mentioned something about bridging ETH. Are you able to elaborate? You said you couldn't confirm nor deny that it was coming, but watch this space. So it would be remiss of me not to try and tease that out of you a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and say that might be something you're thinking about. How close could we expect you guys to be at that stage?
Yeah, no doubt. So again, we're building as fast as we can. Obviously, and that's one of the caveats. I mean, now that we have the bridge, everybody thinks that well, you can just add a new token to bridge, right? Well,
Right.
unfortunately, it's a little bit harder than that. So we also have to have the actual liquidity, to be able to facilitate the trades and the swaps as well as the bridge itself. So it's not as straightforward as it may sound. But yeah, I mean, we absolutely would want to add additional chains and additional options. So ETH may come first from BNB. Again, tying it back to EMP, we are pegged to Ethereum. But we're not at peg right now because we're going through the bear market and really trying to restructure the protocol. But the idea is that eventually we will be back to peg, and EMP and ETH, are essentially have a ratio that we're able to maintain. And so with that, even though it's not ETH on ETH mainnet, it is Ethereum that's backed by Binance on BNB. So that might be a much easier goal in the short term. And then again, you can have ETH on Pulse and then swap into any other asset that you would want, just like everything else. But and it gives those that have ETH within EMP and the ETH ecosystem or on the BNB ecosystem to bridge in other assets. But that would be probably the first step. And then eventually, yeah, we would be able to add Ethereum or any other chain that we have demand for, as well as whatever those native assets are.
Right. I look forward to seeing that come down the pipeline. And you're right that you can't just add something. Of course, you need the liquidity, and these things take time. And people do get a bit restless sometimes. And you mentioned, for example, with EMP not being pegged at the moment, and I'm sure there's been rumblings there. And as you get closer to your final form, I guess people are going to start to apply more pressure for you guys to deliver quicker, perhaps. and or release information faster. How do you plan to, now that you're really in that kind of exciting but also pressure cooker environment, as you get closer to the final form, how do you guys, or how might you start taking an approach to managing those people that get restless? Because I've always seen you guys, yourself and LA in the Telegram and the Discord, you're always very good at jumping on people if the community haven't been able to already jump on them and answer questions. But is there something else that you guys are thinking of or trying to work on at the moment that might help with that management of those community members?
Yeah, so again, this is a very interesting topic, and obviously, we have always done right by our community. We've done everything we can to deliver, on everything we have set out to do, and we have. But obviously, to your point, Matt Hatter, and honestly, it is a bit frustrating for us as a team because we want Fusion to be here just as badly as everybody else. So there's a few key points that I want to make, and the number one point is yes. Did we maybe talk about Fusion and tease Fusion a little bit early? Absolutely, and I would be the first to admit that. Knowing the amount of work and the giant undertaking that Fusion is, I would have definitely done that differently. And but the reality is that when you're hyping, and I use that word sparingly as well because we really don't try to hype anything. When when we're educating people about the new product and the new direction, again, you said it perfectly, Matt Hatter, the final form of what EMP is becoming. We have to explain it to people. We can't just say, "All right, here it is," and then try to educate people within a matter of weeks on how to use it. So there is that fine balance of teasing it early enough that you can educate people, but not having it be months from release. And again, I think that we definitely made a mistake in that department. And we joke now, everybody says, "Well, when Fusion?" I think if we had a dollar for every time somebody said when Fusion, we'd be able to
You'd have
we'd
the
be able to pay
liquidity
everybody
piece.
out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have the additional liquidity, no problem. So, but all joking aside, I mean, we're doing everything in our power to get it out by the end of the year. That's always been our stance. It may or may not be. Again, if it's not by the end of the year, I will be extremely disappointed. But one other really important point is that we are doing everything for a reason, and I know that people get really frustrated when the original EMP community hears us talking about Spark and L1 Dex and launching these other ecosystems. But as a EMP holder and really an EMP maxi, you have got to be bullish on what we're doing, and we are not forgetting about our core protocol whatsoever. What we're doing is we're making EMP and EMP fusion even that much more powerful because these additional protocols we're building is direct revenue back to EMP, and you can't have the cart before the horse. You have to be able to have the infrastructure to supply rewards to EMP Fusion and make EMP Fusion even that much more successful. In the long run, and I get it. People have a hard time kind of following that mindset, but I can promise you that the way that we have done this, even though it may seem that we've forgotten about EMP in the short term, this is going to make EMP just an absolute powerhouse in in the future for sure.
Right. And you guys are always doing things in the back end that people aren't aware of in terms of formulating more partnerships, making sure that you're creating the right environment for what it is that you want to build out. I heard you tease a little bit on the spaces yesterday that LA is currently internationally traveling, and maybe that has something to do with business and maybe something to do with what you guys are trying to grind out real world as well. So there's always
For sure.
things that you're looking at. And I know that you are in a lot of different discords, especially the ones that are real world asset backed. And you're always looking around to see, where perhaps another partnership might come along. So, yeah, people do get impatient, unfortunately. And I suppose it's nice for some people to hear you say, could we have perhaps teased Fusion a little later? Yes, but we live and learn, right? And the fact that you're still here building, still talking about it and creating this ecosystem, I think is a testament to you guys.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, Matt Hatter, agree 100%. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to say this is an egotistical thing, but nobody in DeFi works as hard as LA and I and their core team because, yeah, I mean, we're making a ton of moves in the background that we don't even allude to, that may come to fruition months from now, but it's the time and the effort that we put in now that will set that up for the future. And yeah, you're an expert at getting the Easter eggs, Matt Hatter. So yeah, yeah, LA's been traveling. We're making some really incredible partnerships, and both from a product standpoint and from a financial standpoint, in the background. And we've learned our lesson a little bit with Fusion, where unless it's 100%, we don't ever really discuss it publicly. But just know that we have a ton of irons in the fire for next year for sure.
So let's circle back to Sparkswap. And again, you spoke on the fees and those fees going into the Sparkler, and there are going to be some people, as David mentioned, now just for interacting here, people are going to be able to get Pulse Spark LP as rewards. If they interact enough with us at the pillars, they can literally enter your ecosystem and start earning that passive income. Before we start kind of talking a little bit about how they might play it and where best to put their money, because I did hear you rightly say, you were speaking in your own AMA saying, don't just ape into the Sparkler, make sure you get some farm positions as well. Those farm positions are also crucial to be able to play this system in the way that it's designed so that you can increase your Sparkler position while earning those LPs as well, that you can kind of sell off as your rewards, as your profit. And we've already discussed positioning yourselves, massively to get a massive market share. Now, one of the things that I think is always funny about these kind of conversations is when someone is grinding as hard as you guys, market share and having a massive slice of it tends to be something that creeps up on people and they don't even realize it's happened. Do you think that's going to be the case with you guys, that one day people are going to look at you and say, oh, you know what? We heard them talking about it. They were making a ton of noise. I just wasn't listening closely enough.
Yes, Matt Hatter, amazing, brother. And I would say I agree with you absolutely 1,000%. And it's always the case, even outside of EMP. In my original DeFi journey, it's sometimes the ones that sting the hardest are not the rug pulls, but they're the projects that you knew about and didn't get heavily invested in. And now you see a massive growth on those projects. Those are the ones that I always remember. So yeah, to your point, I agree 1,000%. And that's not us feeling. Obviously we are very we always say never invest more than you can afford to lose. We want people to have a very diversified portfolio, and we always preach healthy investment strategies. But never give financial advice. But yeah, I mean, it's already happening, Matt Hatter. So in terms of market share on Spark and PLS as a whole, Pulse Chain as a whole, yeah, I mean, so just to give some numbers to that, we're just about 8.5 million in TVL on Sparkswap. That is the highest amount of TVL on any DEX other than PulseX. So that's bullish right there. And then number two, the bridge. I mean, we've done some rough calculations, and based on Dune analytics and the on-chain data, it looks to be about $4 million a day that is bridged through the native ETH PLS bridge. Well, we've only had the DAI option, the stable tokens, live for the last 3 days, and we're already averaging 1% or 40,000 a day in bridging. And so, over the next few weeks, we could grow that to easily 10%, 20%. 30%. I mean, who knows really, because it is a much better product market fit. The fees are less, the timing is much faster, and it's just as safe, if not safer. So we really feel like adoption is going to happen organically. And again, it already has been. I mean, every day there's more and more volume on those bridges. So all of that is directly related to the health of the ecosystem, because the more fees that we can generate, again, this is the real yield model. Yes, Spark is initially inflationary, but all the fees through Sparkler are paid in real yield. So the only reason that we have Spark inflationary to begin with is to make sure that we're incentivizing the LP providers. So it's a double-edged sword that you have to have in the beginning to make everything work. But it's our intention, and every bit of what we will do is eventually we'll move away from that inflation, and then Spark will have a hard cap in terms of tokens, and then we just reward the farms and Sparkler from, again, the fees that we're able to generate, and by then you're doing literally millions of dollars a day in volume, which could be hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in profit. So yeah, and rather than go into our pocket, it goes to support the price of Spark and reward those in Sparkler, because again, just to clarify, the fee is actually by half Spark and half Pulse on the market. So we're always buying new Spark and new Pulse, and then we create the LP pair and then reward that through Sparkler. And again, this is all done through a smart contract, but that is the way people can earn through Sparkler, and why Sparkler is so powerful, because literally, and we have a diagram that we can post. We did on the last CE, but it's a way to earn through Sparkler where you're essentially printing new PLS or Pulse every day without ever having to sell your Spark token, which is really revolutionary in terms of yield. And one last thing to your point, Matt Hatter, about the farms and Sparkler. Yeah, I mean, we always say it's healthy to utilize every part of the ecosystem, because again, the fact that Spark is inflationary, if you're all in on Sparkler, you will get a little bit of dilution as the protocol grows. But if you're in farms and you're moving your rewards from your farms into Sparkler rather than just dumping it on the market, you're building your position daily, and you're keeping up with, and in some cases even outperforming the dilution that Sparkler may see from others. And the real data that we have shows that even people creating maximum stakes in Sparkler now, they're literally ROIing within 3 to 6 months. And then that means that every single bit of profit beyond that time is literally money in your pocket that you would never have had if you would have just sold Spark immediately. So it's really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly how I've been playing it. And you mentioned something interesting, is that you guys are always encouraging people to play the whole ecosystem. And one of the things that always fascinates me about, especially projects like yours and what you guys are creating, is that if people, community members will always say, well, how do we support a project? Of course, outside of word of mouth and talking about it and joining the Discords and being active, and supporting it that way. Well, actually learning about how the ecosystem works and then getting involved in every aspect, because it's constantly designed to feed back into other parts of the ecosystem. So, by expanding into, if you can, of course, not everybody's going to have the capital to, but where you can put your money, and if you do have a little bit, to just spread it out across the ecosystem, because once you see it working, you're going to be able to not only speak in an informed way about it working, but you can get excited about where it is that you're able to generate the yield from. And like you say, you mentioned the inflation at the moment. The plan is absolutely to go deflationary. And I think, as a standalone yield farm, people might have had concerns that it was inflation. And of course, that's the case if you're playing it for a very specific reason, or you're one of those whales that wants to jump in, take as much as you can and leave. Now that you guys are adding more to the bridge, I think people are going to start to realize exactly what it is that you're trying to design. And once that deflationary moment hits, like you say, those rewards are going to be, great once they start coming into the sparkler.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Mad Hatter. And another really important point, again, for those that are following a little more closely, once we actually make that switch to the deflationary model, that alone will solve any dilution that you see inside a sparkler. And that is even more bullish in terms of rewards and ownership of Sparkswap, because the only way to get more Spark is to buy it. So,
Right.
and that will have that'll have a flywheel effect, pushing the price of Spark up, increasing APR from Sparkler and the farms. And so again, that is absolutely part of the roadmap. We just have to get there. So, and people ask like when, and that's also a variable. I mean, we don't have a specific metric that we say, when we hit this, we're going to become deflationary. It's a very organic process where, the volume of all the bridge, the swaps, the fees, once that volume outweighs and the fees that or the yield that we're generating, once that's substantial enough that we can reward that and still, have attractive offers, then that is when, we would make the transition for sure.
Right. Yeah, great. We're going to start the giveaway soon, so I won't keep you for too much longer because I know you guys are always grinding and you've got a few AMAs today that are happening. So I'm going to just quickly put a link for the Discord, Sparkswap Discord, in the community questions section. As everybody always knows, to be eligible to win the giveaway, you have to be part of the Discord. One of the questions, your competitors across other chains, are you looking across at anybody, taking lessons, taking notes? Are there people, and you don't have to mention any names, of course, if you don't want to, but are there people that you're looking at thinking, oh, I quite like what they've implemented there. Maybe we're going to start thinking about doing it here?
Yeah, brother, I love this question. So, we've mentioned this many times, and again, Matt Hatter, I know you and I have the same philosophy, and it's really the philosophy I've had even outside of crypto. For those that don't know, I've run multiple successful businesses even outside of crypto, and I've never ever looked at the corporate landscape as a competition. I think that there's enough room for everybody, and as long as you focus on delivering, the best product, the best service, the best business that you can possibly deliver, everything else falls into place. And that's what's helped me become successful in the real world, quote unquote, and in crypto. And so we don't try to compare ourselves to other protocols. We absolutely learn from other protocols. Again, I mean, just to bring up Dex Finance again, we kind of grew up in the space together. Dex Finance started as a tomb fork, just like EMP, and we've learned a ton from those guys. And rather than trying to compete with them, we've gotten into bed together, and really started to grow together even more. And so, they're an incredibly talented group of devs. And so if we can, apply their tech and their experience to Pulse and Sparkswap, I mean, that's a whole nother audience that we're able to bring into, a very successful project. So, yeah, I mean, if anything, we want to work together, not against other projects. And, unfortunately, there is, again, I won't mention any names, but there are, some other pop-up projects on Pulse that are very meme driven and run things definitely not like I would run them, and they really don't offer anything differently in terms of economics. And so those are the kind of projects that may get a lot of hype and eyeballs in the short term. But another month from now, they may not even be here. So we try not to get distracted, with other projects popping up, and even the sad thing is those projects in particular, a lot of people, based on the on-chain data that we look at daily, a lot of those people end up leaving Spark to go dabble in those projects, and the sad reality is that they end up coming back to Spark
Right.
with way less capital than had they just stuck with us. So, and again, I don't say that as a I told you so, or to convince anybody. You're in charge of your own decisions. But I say that to illustrate that we're here for the long run, and we're always adapting and pivoting to make Sparkswap even more powerful.
Right. Yeah, and we do have the same philosophy, and I love that answer in terms of, they're not competitors, they're potential partners, and I think that's great that you're always kind of looking at people to say, yeah, I could take their ideas, or I could work with them, and we can grow even stronger together. And I think those partnerships are always going to be the most fruitful. And kind of talking along those lines, and this will be my last question for you, AJ. Your reputation is now preceding you. Your name and what you guys as a team are doing, you LA and the rest of the team, what you guys are doing in this space is fantastic, and it's really elevating what we're trying to do here, as a whole within DeFi. Now, at some point, there are going to be projects that are going to come to you that might want to build on Pulse, that's going to be able to kind of give you more eyeballs and drive volume through. Are you starting to think along those lines about which projects you might want to put your name to? Will you become a bit more selective in terms of who you say yes to, when they might come along, so that you really not just keep hold of that reputation that you guys are really working hard to create, but also by lending that project your name makes them stronger and drives more volume towards you?
Yeah, absolutely, Matt Hatter. And I'll reference one of my favorite comic books. So, with great power comes great responsibility, right? So yeah, and that weighs very heavily on LA and I and the rest of the team on a daily basis. I mean, the amazing thing, and it's a great problem to have, is that people are coming out of the woodwork, to want to work with us. And
Mm.
I'm a firm believer that any successful partnership is a give and take. And so, we do have to be super selective and make sure that the value that we're offering is reciprocated, and that any potential partner provides that same value to us, just like a relationship, a romantic relationship. You have to go, it's a two-way street. And if one partner or the other doesn't carry their weight, that builds resentment and could eventually lead to negative things. So
Right.
we absolutely do our due diligence, even more so now than we ever have. In the beginning, I thought that we did a great job of vetting, but again, the more that we grow, the more that our reputation is growing and becoming a guiding light in DeFi, then yeah, we would definitely need to. And it's a unique situation with Fusion and with Sparkswap. So I want to touch on both of those. So Sparkswap, obviously, we would love to add liquidity pairs for many different projects, and that is the ultimate goal. Obviously, we're gonna go through, right now on PulseX, any project can add liquidity, and so that's again a double-edged sword because you get a ton more volume, but there could be absolute scams or for lack of a better word, shit tokens that people post. So we will have a vetting process with SparkSwap as well, where
Mhm.
you will have to submit to us to be able to be listed. And we'll have some perks, for tokens and projects that we believe in with boosted reward. So again, a quick example of that is Goat Spark.
Mhm.
The Goat token is a fully collateralized up style token. Again, it's a fees, minting and redeeming fees that allow the token to always go up. We have a great relationship with those guys, and it's a two-way street because they provide a lot of benefit to us as well. Not only are we the official bridge of their protocol, but having a pairing Goat to Spark, Goat token will always go up because of those in and out fees. And so by pairing Goat to Spark, it actually brings the price of Spark up with it as well. So again,
Right.
that's a great example of a partnership that is a win-win for both of us. And with Fusion, again, not to get too off topic here, but Fusion will also have a very similar mechanism where we're going to be the way that you take profit in Fusion is through something called a battery, and we'll be able to offer partner projects and even other protocols that may not necessarily be a partner, but that have large communities. We'll be able to offer them to cash out in those batteries that are direct buying pressure on whatever token or project there is. So that's really exciting because it allows us to have a partnership, but without any of the negative side effects that a
Right.
partnership might bring. So we're really excited for both of those opportunities for sure.
Yeah, and I heard a bit of the Goat project speaking yesterday. I think they were on the Spaces as well yesterday, and good speakers, and it was interesting to hear about them. And I love that you guys are now starting to move into a place where you're being extra cautious in terms of who you want to partner with and where you want to place your time. And one of the things that is great to hear about that, I've said this to you many times before, but I'll say it again for those that haven't heard me say it, that when I first got into this space, EMP was one of the first projects that I ever got involved with. And I couldn't have imagined then that now I'd be speaking with you on the stage within the Pillars, and you would have partnered with us in the way that you have. And that's also a massive testament to every single one of our community members. So, when someone gives you their time, gives you their energy, gives you their money, gives you their tokens, I think what we need to do is pay them back by giving our time back. And not only do you get rewarded for your time, but if you start supporting a project like this, the mechanics are designed in such a way that it pays out even bigger.
Yeah, Mad Hatter. Again, brother, I wanted to definitely end with this. I mean, we could definitely talk to each other for hours, but the partnership, again, just to bring it full circle, the partnership with the Pillars has been unlike anything we've ever experienced. I mean, typically we partner with other protocols, but to have a partnership with you, to be able to reward your community and provide exposure to them literally for helping educate and getting involved with our project. This is unheard of. And again, Matt Hatter approached me about this, model months ago, and I absolutely loved it. And again, I think it's you guys are paving the way as well in terms of DeFi communities that actually reward their users for participating. I mean, it's groundbreaking, and I have so much love and respect again for all of you. This is by far the best group out there. You're a ton of educated investors, and again, David and Matt Hatter. Every time we're on these events, CEs or AMAs, whatever you want to call them, we love the conversation, and we're going to continue to support the Pillars and everything that we do, and I know that you guys will do that in return. Again, today we have a massive turnout of over 135 people, so that's a great sign. I think we're just going to continue to build together. And yeah, man, anything we can do to help spread the word. I know Goat or one of the projects mentioned Pillars in the AMA yesterday, so hopefully
Right.
we're also helping spread the word too. So, yeah.
Yeah, and thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's very humbling. And to the community, we're actually flipping the script a little bit today, and we're going to be joining you guys on your live on YouTube. I've put the link for your YouTube channel in the community questions, so please, anybody that's available at 11:45 p.m. UTC, please join us. David and I will be on there for the first segment of what it is that you guys do. It's always a great conversation over there. You guys are super informative, and I just look forward to sitting down and chatting to your community as well, and maybe explaining a little bit more about how everybody can get involved and start earning some of that LP.
Yeah, brother, no doubt. I can't wait to have you guys on tonight, and then I can flip the script, and I'm gonna ask you all the hard questions, brother. How about that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it and nervous in equal measure.
For sure, man.
All right,
Totally.
perfect. AJ, it's been an absolute pleasure. Transparent as always. Answers have been fantastic. I'm hoping everybody jumps into the Discord, has a look around, and just kind of has a little bit of time to kind of educate themselves on Sparkswap and how your ecosystem works. And of course, if anybody has any questions, you can ask in our Discord right here or ask in the Sparkswap Discord. And there's always someone that's going to be available to answer those questions.
Wonderful. Yes, brother. Thank you again. I appreciate everybody's time. Matt Hatter, everybody, David, the whole Pillars community, much love to all of you. And can't wait to be back. Again, tune in tonight, and then I'm sure that we'll have some more updates for all of you sometime next month for sure.
Perfect. Look forward to it. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Take care, guys.